Harry said that without more war...
Your kind killed the most holy.
Lies. Your kind let her die.
Shut your mouth, mate!
Enough!
Knight Commander!
That is not my title. We are not Templars any longer. We are all part of the Inquisition.
And what does that mean, exactly?
Back already, Chancellor. Haven't you done enough?
I'm curious, Commander, as to how your Inquisition and its herald will restore order as you've promised.
Of course you are. Back to your duties, all of you. Mages and Templars were already at war. Now they're blaming each other for the Divine's death.
Which is why we require a proper authority to guide them back to order.
Who? You? Random clerics who weren't important enough to be at the Conclave?
The Rebel Inquisition and its so-called Herald of Andraste? I think not.
If the proper authority hadn't completely failed, the Conclave wouldn't have been needed.
So you suggest I blame the Chantry and exalt a murderer? What of justice?
That won't help restore order in the here and now.
Order will never be restored so long as this rebellion is allowed to fester.
Remind me, why are you allowing the Chancellor to stay?
Clearly, your Templar knows where to draw the line.
He's toothless. There's no point turning him into a martyr simply because he runs at the mouth. The Chancellor's a good indicator of what to expect in Val Royeux, however.
How widespread is the violence between mages and Templars?
Impossible to say.
Your organization flouting the Chantry's authority will not help matters.
With the Conclave destroyed, I imagine the war between mages and Templars is renewed with interest.
The mages and Templars are fighting, even though we don't know what really happened at the Temple of Sacred Ashes.
Exactly why all this should be left to a new divine. If you are innocent, the Chantry will establish it as so.
Or we'll be happy to use someone as a scapegoat.
You think nobody cares about the truth? We all grieve Justinia's loss.
But you won't grieve if the Herald of Andraste is conveniently swept under a carpet.
Well, let's hope we find solutions and not a cathedral full of chancellors.
The stuff of nightmares.
Mock, if you will. I'm certain the Maker is less amused.
Blessed are the righteous.
I don't know if Apothecary Adon can get you that many.
What have your ears heard, Leliana? Anything new we don't already know about?
No, nothing.
Having the Herald address the clerics is not a terrible idea.
You can't be serious.
Mother Giselle isn't wrong. At the moment, the Chantry's only strength is that they are united in opinion.
And we should ignore the danger to the Herald.
Let's ask him.
You want me to walk into a pit of vipers, and you ask me that?
They're not vipers just because they like to hiss.
I will go with him. Mother Giselle said she could provide us names. Use them.
But why? This is nothing but a...
What choice do we have, Leliana? Right now, we can't approach anyone for help with the breach. Use what influence we have to call the clerics together. Once they are ready, we will see this through. the city still mourns.
Just a guest seeker, but I think they all know who we are.
Your skills of observation never fail to impress me, Varric.
My Lord Herald.
You're one of Leliana's people. What have you found?
The Chantry Mothers await you, but so do a great many Templars.
There are Templars here?
People seem to think the Templars will protect them from the Inquisition. They're gathering on the other side of the market. I think that's where the Templars intend to meet you.
Only one thing to do, then. They wish to protect the people? From us?
They can certainly try.
We don't want a pitched battle in the middle of Val Royeux.
That's...
Return to Haven. Someone will need to inform them if we are delayed.
As you say, my lady.
People of Val Royeux, hear me. Together, we mourn our divine. A naive and beautiful heart, silenced by treachery. You wonder what will become of a murderer. Well, wonder no more. Behold, the so-called Herald of Andraste, claiming to rise where our beloved fell. We say this is a false prophet, no servant of anything beyond his selfish greed.
And do you know everything the Maker commands? Look up in the sky. I alone survived the breach, and I can end it.
It's true. The Inquisition seeks only to end this madness before it is too late.
It is already too late. The Templars have returned to the Chantry. They will face this Inquisition, and the people will be safe once more.
Still yourself. She is beneath us.
What's the meaning of this?
Her claim to authority is an insult, much like your own.
Lord Seeker Lucius, it's imperative that we speak with...
You will not address me.
Lord Seeker?
Creating a heretical movement. Raising up a puppet as Andraste's prophet. You should be ashamed. You should all be ashamed. The Templars failed no one when they left the Chantry to purge the mages. You are the ones who have failed. You who'd leash our righteous swords with doubt and fear. If you came to appeal to the Chantry, you are too late. The only destiny here that demands respect is mine.
What if I really am the Herald of Andraste?
You have nothing. No influence, no power, and certainly no holy purpose.
But Lord Seeker, what if he really was sent by the Maker? What if...
You are called to a higher purpose. Do not question.
I will make the Templar Order a power that stands alone against the Void. We deserve recognition. Independence. You have shown me nothing, and the Inquisition, less than nothing. Templars, Val Royeux is unworthy of our protection. We march.
Charming fellow, isn't he?
Has Lord Seeker Lucius gone mad?
Do you know him very well?
He took over the Seekers of Truth 2 years ago, after Lord Seeker Lambert's death. He was always a decent man, never given to ambition and grandstanding. This is very bizarre.
It doesn't look like we'll be getting the Templars to help us after all.
I wouldn't write them off so quickly. There must be those in the Order who see what he's become. Either way, we should first return to Haven and inform the others.
This victory must please you greatly, Seeker Cassandra.
We came here seeking only to speak with the mothers. This is not our doing, but yours.
And you had no part in forcing our hand? Do not delude yourself. Now we have been shown up by our own Templars, in front of everyone. And my fellow clerics have scattered to the wind along with their convictions. Just tell me one thing. Do you truly believe you are the Maker's chosen?
I do believe it. Do you have a better explanation?
Several, but are they the truth? I am left to question all I have been taught. I suppose it is out of our hands now. We shall all see what the Maker plans in the days to come.
How many Templars turned on the Chantry exactly?
They rebelled across Thedas. Some remained loyal, but not enough to call them the Order. The White Spire here in the capital was the largest garrison, but now it stands empty. Perhaps more shall flock to the Lord Seeker's banner now. How far has faith waned, I wonder?
How are people responding to all of this?
Despair. Fear. We mourn Her Holiness. The people look to the sky and wonder how long before terror comes for us all. There must be a way through this. Is it you? The Templars? The Maker's will? We abandoned our duties. We servants of the faith. Now we can only pray.
You're obviously skeptical. What do you believe I am?
Our divine. Her Holiness is dead. I have seen evidence for everything, except what would comfort me.
That doesn't answer my question.
For you to be true, a great many things must be false. And if you are false, a great many things must have failed. There is chaos ahead, whatever your intentions.
So what happens now? Will the Chantry continue to denounce me?
We have already done so. And what good has it done us? Now it falls on us to select a new divine, if we can. And leave the next step to her.
Provided such a selection is even possible.
I truly don't know. Any revered mother who could have followed Justinia died at the Conclave. What becomes of us, and your Inquisition, is in the Maker's hands now.
Where is the Lord Seeker taking the Templars?
I can't begin to guess the Lord Seeker's mind. He could not have abandoned his intended role more completely.
There must be sense to what we can't see.
Must there? Rebellion seems popular in certain quarters, doesn't it, Seeker? Is crafting the Templars into a new power really any worse than declaring a rival to the Chantry itself?
What were you hoping the Lord Seeker would do exactly?
Put aside his war against the mages and find common purpose against something much more dire. Obviously, he has other plans. With the knights vigilant slain at the Conclave, there is nothing more we can do.
Perhaps there is something we can do.
I'd like to believe that, Seeker. I truly would. I suppose we can expect renewed effort against the mages from him, and yet more chaos.
It's not too late. The Chantry could still help us and come out on top.
If only that were true.
What's to stop you from trying?
We are not looking for a winning horse. We are simply trying to do the right thing. Leave me be, Survivor. Your presence here is not comforting.
The Chantry made a big mistake, and now it's paying the price.
Perhaps you are correct. We are only trying to find our way, with little guidance now, but our faith.
That's not enough.
When is it ever enough? That is the nature of faith. Leave me be, Survivor. Your presence here is not comforting.
There's got to be a way to calm everything down and clean up this mess.
I hope against hope that may be the case.
What's that? An arrow with a message? I believe that
You are the Herald of Andraste, are you not? I have an invitation for you.
This cannot stand. How can it stand?
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Oh, yes.
left us. The Templars left us to the mages.
If I might have a moment of your time.
Grand Enchanter Fionna?
Leader of the Mage Rebellion. Is it not dangerous for you to be here?
I heard of this gathering, and I wanted to see the fabled Herald of Andraste with my own eyes. If it's help with the breach you seek, perhaps my people are the wiser option.
I'm surprised the leader of the mages wasn't at the conclave.
Yes. You were supposed to be, and yet somehow you avoided death.
As did the Lord Seeker, you'll note. Both of us sent negotiators in our stead in case it was a trap. I won't pretend I'm not glad to live. I lost many dear friends that day. It disgusts me to think the Templars will get away with it. I'm hoping you won't let them.
So you think the Templars are responsible?
Why wouldn't she?
Lucius hardly seems broken up over his losses, if he's concerned about them at all. You heard him. You think he wouldn't happily kill the Divine to turn people against us? So yes, I think he did it. More than I think you did it, at any rate.
What do you want in exchange for the mage's help?
Oh, I haven't promised the Inquisition our help yet. Consider this an invitation to Redcliffe. Come, meet with the mages. An alliance could help us both, after all. I hope to see you there. Au revoir, my Lord Herald.
Come, let us return to Haven.
The Inquisition's herald!
Herald of Andraste, how much did you expend to discover me? It must have weakened the Inquisition immeasurably.
I don't know who you are.
You don't fool me. I'm too important for this to be an accident. My efforts will survive in victories against you elsewhere.
Just say what?
What is that?
Ugh! Squishy one, but you heard me, right? Just say what? Rich tits always try for more than they deserve. Blah, blah, blah! Obey me. Arrow in my face. So, you followed the notes well enough. Glad to see you're kind of plain, really. All that talk, and then you're just a person. I mean, it's all good, isn't it? The important thing is you glow. You're the herald thingy.
Sure, why not? I glow. What's going on?
No idea. I don't know this idiot from Manners. My people just said the Inquisition should look at him.
Your people? Elves?
No. People. Name's Sera. This is cover. Get round it. For the reinforcements. Don't worry. Someone tipped me their equipment shed. They've got no breaches. Right in the plums!
Why didn't you take their weapons?
Breaches! Bunch of nutters! Friends really came through with that tip. No breaches. So, Herald of Andraste. You're a strange one. I'd like to join.
All I know about you or your group is that I followed a random trail into a trap.
What trap? You knocked, he crapped. Look, it's like this. I sent you a note to look for hidden stuff by my friends. The Friends of Red Jenny. That's me. Well, I'm one. So is a fence in Montfort, some woman in Kirkwall. There were 3 in Starkhaven, brothers or something. It's just a name, yeah? It lets little people, friends, be part of something while they stick it to nobles they hate. So here, in your face, I'm Sera. The Friends of Red Jenny are sort of out there. I use them to help you. Plus arrows.
The Inquisition has spies already. Can you add to these professionals?
Here's how it is. You important people are up here, shoving your cods around. Blah, blah, I'll crush you, I'll crush you. Ooh, crush you. Then you've got cloaks and spy kings, like this tit. Or was he one of the little knives, all serious with his little knife? All those secrets, and what gave him up? Some houseboy who don't know shite, but knows a bad person when he sees one. So no, I'm not knifey shiv dark, all hidden. But if you don't listen down here too, you risk your breeches. Like those guards, I stole their... Look, do you need people or not? I want to get everything back to normal. Like you.
So who are your Friends of Red Jenny? You must know them.
It's not hard to understand if you're not trying to waste your day on it. Someone little always hates someone big. And unless you don't eat, sleep, or piss, you're never far from someone little. Doesn't always work out, but a lot of people hated this guy. Someone got a laugh, someone got even, someone got paid. And someone has to have explained to them that free help is good.
Back there you wanted to know if I glowed. Why?
That's what you do, innit? You walked out of somewhere and now you glow. Andraste's herald. True or not, it seemed like the easiest way to know it was you.
True or not?
Well, that's what they say and all. Look, don't get ahead, yeah? I want to help this... whatever it is. Inquisition.
You sound like a thief who acts out petty revenge fantasies. And that might be bad?
Oh, right. You want to prop that guy up so I can say my sorries? Bad things should happen to bad people. We find someone not so bad, maybe he'll end up not so dead. Good enough?
You said that like it's obvious, but you didn't know him.
I knew about him.
That's just rumor.
Look, I'd have been fine stripping his guards and nicking his stuff. Turns out he deserved worse. Or was him trying to kill you a good thing? Are you the baddie? Didn't think so.
All right, Sera. I can use you and your friends.
Yes! Getting good before you're too big to like. That'll keep your breeches where they should be. Plus extra breeches because I have all these... You have merchants who buy that pish, yeah? Got to be worth something. Anyway, Haven. See you there, Herald. This will be grand.
Lord Trevelyan of Ostwick, representing the Inquisition.
A pleasure, sir. We so rarely have a chance to meet anyone new. It is always the same crowd at these parties. So you must be a guest of Madame de Fer, or are you here for Duc Bastien?
Are you here on business? I have heard the most curious tales of you. I cannot imagine half of them are true.
What have you heard about me?
Some say that when the veil opened, Andraste herself delivered you from the Fade.
I'm not familiar with that name. I was invited here by First Enchanter Vivienne.
Madame de Fer is a fond nickname the court has given Lady Vivienne.
I've heard she finds it amusing.
I've heard very little about Duke Bastien.
He hasn't been seen much at court lately.
His business with the Council of Heralds often takes him from home for long periods. It can't be good for a man of his years.
And of course, there's the Civil War. Bastien probably wishes to distance himself from the actions of his one-time son-in-law.
Tearing up the Dales in a foolish bid for power? It will end in disgrace for Gaspard. Everyone knows it.
Everything you've heard? Completely true.
Better and better. The Inquisition should attend more of these parties.
The Inquisition. What a lot of pig shit. Washed-up sisters and crazed seekers. No one can take them seriously. Everyone knows it's just an excuse for a bunch of political outcasts to grab power.
I've never made any claims to holiness. What's your point?
In front of all these people, you admit to being a pretentious usurper. We know what your Inquisition truly is. If you were a man of honor, you'd step outside and answer the charges.
My dear Marquis, how unkind of you to use such language in my house to my guests. You know such rudeness is intolerable.
Madame Vivienne, I humbly beg your pardon.
You should. Whatever am I going to do with you, my dear? My lord, you're the wounded party in this unfortunate affair. What would you have me do with this foolish, foolish man?
He insulted my honor. I want him dead.
And this, Marquis, is why one must always be courteous to one's fellow guests. Someone be a dear and clean this mess up. We can't have him cluttering up the dance floor. I'm delighted you could attend this little gathering. I've so wanted to meet you. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Vivienne, first enchanter of Montsimard and enchantress to the Imperial Court.
Can you get away with killing a nobleman like that?
He attempted to draw his weapon, unprovoked, in the presence of witnesses. Duels are not fought in the drawing room. By Chevalier code, his life was forfeit from the moment his hand fell to his hilt.
Your salon has certainly exceeded my expectations so far.
I'm glad to keep you entertained, my dear. I wanted to meet face to face. It is important to consider one's connections carefully. With Divine Justinia dead, the Chantry is in shambles. Only the Inquisition might restore sanity and order to our frightened people. As the leader of the last loyal mages of Thedas, I feel it only right that I lend my assistance to your cause.
What exactly can you do for the Inquisition?
I am well versed in the politics of the Orlesian Empire. I know every member of the Imperial Court personally. I have all the resources remaining to the Circle at my disposal. And I'm a mage of no small talent. Will that do?
Does that mean you'd be aiding the Inquisition from the Imperial Palace?
Ordinarily, I would be happy to serve as liaison to the court, but these are not ordinary times. The veil has been ripped apart and there is a hole in the sky. It is now the duty of every mage to work towards sealing the breach. And so I would join the Inquisition on the field of battle.
You say you led the last of the loyal mages. Loyal to whom?
To the people of Thedas, of course. We have not forgotten the commandment, as some have, that magic exists to serve man. I support any effort to restore such order.
So you're in favor of returning the mages to the Circle, then?
Where else can mages safely learn to master their talents? We need an institution to protect and nurture magic. Maker knows, magic will find neither on its own.
What's in this for you?
The same thing anyone gets by fighting this chaos. The chance to meet my enemy, to decide my fate. I won't wait quietly for destruction.
Are you devout? What's your opinion of the Chantry?
I was a great admirer of the late divine Justinia V. The Chantry, at its best, unites the disparate cultures of Thedas and looks after its most vulnerable. Had she lived, Justinia could have accomplished so much.
You are aware that the Chantry hasn't sanctioned this Inquisition?
The Chantry is leaderless. They're in no position to officially sanction anything. Besides, my dear, if there is one virtue the Chant of Light teaches us, it is forgiveness. Once the Inquisition has sealed the breach, I'm sure the new divine will not care in the slightest about official permission.
You say you led the last of the loyal mages. Loyal to...
To the people of... I support any effort to restore such order.
Is your interest in the Inquisition Madame de Fer, or is it more personal?
Aren't you charming? It's professional, of course.
The Inquisition will be happy to have you, Lady Vivienne.
Great things are beginning, my dear. I can promise you that.
Vivienne. That's the picture of what a circle mage should be.
She looks like a noble. It's arrogant.
It is not arrogant to be unafraid.
Need something?
Can I ask you something, Varric?
You want to talk about me? I'm flattered. Also inclined toward extravagant lies.
Thanks, Varric.
No problem.
See that new elf?
So, this is it, huh? Oh no, it's fine, yeah? It's just, I thought it'd be bigger. Hear that? I meant the stronghold, but it sounded like... Well, it's funny, right? Anyway, stopping wars should earn more sovereigns than this. Need things back to normal for coins to be flowing again. Another reason the Templars and mages need to be sat down.
The Templars and the mages. Most people pick a side.
Most people are stupid.
But where do you stand on the war?
In the middle, with everyone, not a Trevelyan, or whatever. You know what I hear about mages? Nothing, until one goes all demony. Know what I hear about Templars? Nothing, until they take maybe mages. They're too busy to look up where the real questions are.
Right. They should know it's a simple job. End all war, stitch the sky. The easy one first, of course.
You're daft, yeah? Most people get special, they lose their smirk. Can't see how stupid it all is. I think I like you, Lord Herald. Maybe you're a little chosen, yeah?
I think I'll enjoy having you around, Sera. I hope you'll feel the same.
Not even. Get to work, Herald. I'm gonna go kick someone out of a bed. Chasing the Lord Seeker, I hear. Anyone who thinks they need Lord in front of the name, that's bad. Bet he's got a portrait taller than he is. That's your first clue to a total arse. Fact.
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Which, the ones who do things or the ones who give orders?
Thoughts about Cassandra?
Not as buttoned up as she plays, right? Tough, though. I'd stand behind her in front of anything.
What about Solus?
Solus? His head's crammed up 1,000 years ago.
Anything to say about Varric?
Varric? Too clever. Always saying something, but never saying it straight.
What's your opinion of Vivienne?
She's a bitch, but she knows. She better.
What do you think about our spy master, ambassador, and commander?
Leliana is pretty in places. Swear I've seen her too. Or heard she used to play. But that'd be mad. Now Josephine, she's as good at humbling her kind as I am. Just with less mess. Knows her business, if we have to have it. And Cullen, I suppose if you want a jackboot, you get a big one so you can grow into it. Nice hair, though.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here. Chasing mages, that's a Templar's job. A big, armored, pissed-off helm polisher. Not too late to go find some. Or stay home.
Is the Inquisition what you thought it would be?
Calling an Inquisition is a bit much, isn't it? Does this lot even know what they're chasing? Fair question for me as well, I suppose. Everybody following a rumor. At least I'm used to that.
I'll be back if I need you.
Go on. Hey, it's you again.
You apparently have a lot of friends. Tell me about your network.
It's not mine, right? I mean, it is, but it's also everyone. Everyone who wants to shove it to nobles who hide behind gold and silk. And hats, I guess.
Are you just about pranks and revenge, or is there more to it?
Well, it's a weave, right? I grease a ballroom, so a wyvern chasing Git has to hunt sprained. Strangely, handmaids leave his vault open. His heirlooms pay off someone else. Maybe clean streets in Kirkwall so someone gets something else. Pish, pish, pish. A lot of people eventually get help or a laugh. Or maybe someone dead, if they deserve it.
So you're vandals, thieves, and murderers.
If the marks are right, Arth, yeah. But maybe pantsing and clearing his vault do the trick. Embarrassed, the same as dead for some of them. Besides, assassin's a bard's job. No fun, that lot. They might plonk a noble, right? But only to raise another. Plus, I'm shite at singing.
Where are the people you promised?
If I knew, they wouldn't be much use. That's sort of the point. Look, unless your baddies are rocks or trees, they have people they use. Cooks, squires, wipers. Yeah, I know, wipers, right? You better believe the one with wipers deserve it, right in the... Well, anyway, the little people will be there when you need them, in a million little ways.
This doesn't seem like it would produce much in the way of results.
It's working for you. What, is every follower of yours a giant who does all things and knows your every move? Not your team of doers. I mean the people gathering. Is that normal because it's religious? Seems like that should make it weirder.
I think the whole thing sounds like a scam.
So feel free to complain every time I point you to a hand up, because you'll still take it, right? Right you will.
Is Red Jenny real? Or was she always just you and your friends?
Dunno.
Don't you care?
Not if it works. I mean, red is scary because blood. And Jenny is... Look, nobody fears the bunch of people who do random stuff. And besides, it's easy. Nobles want a bogeyman because they need to believe normal people can't get at them. Numbers, right? It don't have to be so complicated.
Doesn't this mean people think you're guilty of more than you actually do?
I suppose. Does it matter?
Shouldn't it?
Important people kill over imagined insults. I've made more than enough real ones, so no. I don't suppose it does.
We'll talk another time.
It's all good, innit? Sitting and waiting. Great, yeah?
Tell me about yourself.
What about me?
You're skilled. Who taught you how to use a bow?
No one.
That seems unlikely.
What? I picked it up here and there. Mostly it just makes sense. It's not like that for you.
It never occurred to you that doing what you do should require some effort?
Well, yeah. I practice. Some. Not like Cullen and his pets. I mean, you miss, then you don't. Is it that hard to see when it's wrong?
Is it an elf thing?
Most I know couldn't find an arrow sitting on it. Right. Maybe I just make it look easy in shite company. Fact still is, no teacher. Where would I find one in alleyways anyway?
How about the basics? Where are you from?
Ferelden.
I got that from the accent. Where in Ferelden?
All over? Okay, fine. Denerim for a bit. South, north, wherever I want.
There are no connections you want to mention at all?
Nope. It's complicated. I don't like complicated. Let's leave it at that. Maybe.
You're not like most of the elves I've met.
Thanks, right? Or was that an insult? Suppose I could go barefoot and whine more. Like that's soulless, right? Never be as good as we were. Well, who's we? I'm just fine.
There's nothing to learn from any of that history?
Yes, don't do that. What? We lost so bad there was nothing left. You figure out what they wore on their deathbed. You wear it. Waste of time.
We'll talk later.
If you say so.
It's good you've returned. We heard of your encounter.
You heard?
My agents in the city sent word ahead, of course.
It's a shame the Templars have abandoned their senses, as well as the capital.
At least we know the Chantry is no longer a threat to us.
Yes, and we have the opening we need to approach the Templars and the mages.
Do we? Lord Seeker Lucius is not the man I remember.
True, he has taken the orders somewhere, but to do what? My reports have been very odd.
We must look into it. I'm certain not everyone in the Order will support the Lord Seeker.
Or the Herald could simply go to meet the mages in Redcliffe instead.
You think the Mage Rebellion is more united? It could be 10 times worse.
I think the Templars are worth investigating.
I agree. What could the Lord Seeker be up to?
We shouldn't discount Redcliffe. The mages may be worth the risk.
They are powerful, Ambassador, but more desperate than you realize.
You think the invitation could be some kind of trap?
If some among the rebel mages were responsible for what happened at the Conclave.
The same could be said about the Templars.
True enough. Right now, I'm not certain we have enough influence to approach the Order safely.
Then the Inquisition needs agents in more places. That's something you can help with.
In the meantime, we should consider other options. There is one other matter. Several months ago, the Grey Wardens of Ferelden vanished. I sent word to those in Orlais, but they have also disappeared. Ordinarily, I wouldn't even consider the idea they're involved in all this, but the timing is curious.
That does sound odd, I agree.
The others have disregarded my suspicion, but I cannot ignore it. 2 days ago, my agents in the hinterlands heard news of a Grey Warden by the name of Blackwall. If you have the opportunity, please seek him out. Perhaps he can put my mind at ease.
And if he can't?
Then there may be more going on than we thought.
I met an elven mage earlier. Solus, I believe he was called. I admit I was surprised. I didn't expect to find mages among the Inquisition. Tell me, why were you at the Divine Conclave?
The war benefits no one. It must end, and order must be restored.
If only the rebels saw things so clearly. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
That's why you wanted to be here. To have a hand in deciding that fate.
Wouldn't you? For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
I was given this blessing by Andraste herself. The power is not mine, but hers.
We can only hope she offers you better guidance than she does the rest of us. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me keep you. Yes?
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so long in the Circle.
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarrans or men. I have known some who were impossible to endure and some who were utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from nobles or tradesmen in Val Royeux. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant elements at bay.
If the Circle disbanded, how can you still belong to it?
The Circle is an idea, my dear, and an idea cannot be dissolved. Many of the first enchanters voted for rebellion, caring little that anything short of a unanimous decision would pit mage against mage. Rather than dissolving it, Grand Enchanter Fiona's vote split the Circle in two. The rebels follow her, the loyalists follow me.
If you lead all the loyalists, why are you only First Enchanter and not Grand Enchanter?
Grand Enchanters are elected, and since there are no First Enchanters besides myself, no vote can be held. I could name myself Grand Enchanter, but the title holds no meaning now. When the circles are restored, that will change.
What was it like to live in a circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of circle life unique to themselves. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
So tell me about your personal experience with the Circle.
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an edifice devoted to knowledge and refinement. And mages need the company of other mages. No one else can truly understand the challenges we face, nor see the world as we do.
You must have been under constant supervision, being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's estate. I have never been forced to live anywhere. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own or in service to the nobility. All that was required was permission from the first enchanter. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite permissive, perhaps too permissive in retrospect.
How did we come to this state with the circles in revolt?
A failure of perspective that infected circle leadership. Mages lived solely in a world of Templars and mages. They could not even imagine what was beyond the tower walls. Kirkwall gave the world a reason to remember its fear of magic. A mage killed hundreds with a snap of their fingers. Across Thedas, a new tangible fear of magic grew. Commoners and nobles alike called out to the Chantry for protection. But the malcontents in the towers thought nothing of this. They cared only for themselves and for their anger at the new Templar restrictions. When a mage attempted to assassinate Divine Justinia, again, the mages protested the investigation. The leadership chose to vote on independence based on the intolerable conditions imposed by the Templars, sparing no thought to the fact that magic was more feared in the aftermath of these attacks than it had been since Tevinter's day. So long as they had their freedom, they could care little for riots, angry mobs, or about pitting mages against each other.
Are you familiar with Grand Enchanter Fionna?
We've met. Before her horrendously ill-timed and selfish vote for independence, I thought her adequate at her job. In her dotage, she could not handle looking after the well-being of so many people. We would have done better to replace her years ago, to let her spend time gardening.
Did they have cause to rebel?
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really the most opportune time to break away? By all means, protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale murder. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
I thought the fighting was only between mages and Templars. Why are mages fighting mages?
The vote for independence was carried by only a small margin, but Fionna chose to let the motion stand. Those who opposed a rash declaration of war against the entire free world had little choice. By breaking from the Chantry when they did, the rebels declared themselves in support of mass murder. Anyone who did not wish to support terrorism and the slaughter of innocents was forced to take arms against the rebels. Yes?
I'd like to know more about you, Madame Vivienne.
Whatever would you like to know?
Your accent's not Orlesian. Where exactly are you from?
I am from the Circle, my dear. One's country of origin rarely matters there. But if you must know, I was born in Wycombe in the Free Marches. I was sent to the Ostwick Circle, but I transferred to Monsignor while still an apprentice.
I'm curious how a Circle mage winds up a courtier.
Nobody winds up at court, my dear. It takes a great deal of effort to arrive there. I caught the eye of Duke Bastien de Ghislaine, an advantageous connection that opened many doors. When the position of Enchanter to the Imperial Court became vacant, I was able to secure it.
You're married to the Duke de Ghislaine?
Of course not, my dear. Don't be ridiculous. Marriage is the business of alliance and inheritance. I'm Bastien's mistress.
And what does the Duchess de Ghislaine think of this arrangement?
We got along quite well. Duchess Nicoline and I used to host musical salons together. She was a great patron of the arts. She passed away from a fever a few years ago, the poor dear.
What duties does a court enchanter have?
I am tasked with providing assistance to the Empress on arcane matters. Most of my predecessors restricted this to lighting lamps and doing parlor tricks. In such troubled times as these, however, I provide political advice to Her Majesty on the subject of the Mage Rebellion.
Do you think that you and I might, someday...
How very sweet of you to ask, but no. Yes?
Is there anything I can do to help your efforts at restoring the Circle?
After the Circles fell, their libraries were plundered by scavengers. 1,000 years of recorded knowledge in the hands of bandits. It makes me sick to think of it. I've received news that some tomes have been located, if you are interested in righting this wrong.
I'll look into it for you.
If you can take care of this matter, the Circle would be in your debt.
You return.
Farewell.
Until next time.
My scouts still comb the hills for clues about the explosion. I'll take what I can find. Let's see what we have. At your service.
Work?
Come to me, child.
Excuse me. I've got a message for the Inquisition, but I'm having a hard time getting anyone to talk to me.
Lies eternity.
Who are you, soldier?
Cremisius Aclasi with the Bulls Chargers Mercenary Company. We mostly work out of Olay and Navarra. We've got word of some Tevinter mercenaries gathering out on the Storm Coast. My company commander, Iron Bull, offers the information free of charge. If you'd like to see what the Bulls Chargers can do for the Inquisition, meet us there and watch us work.
What can your Bulls Chargers offer the Inquisition?
We're loyal, we're tough, and we don't break contracts. Ask around Val Royeux. We've got references.
What should I know about your commander?
Iron Bull. He's one of those Kunari, the big guys with the horns. He leads from the front. He pays well, and he's a lot smarter than the last bastard I worked for. Best of all, he's professional. We accept contracts with whoever makes the first real offer. You're the first time he's gone out of his way to pick a side.
Why did your commander send us this information?
Iron Bull wants to work for the Inquisition. He thinks you're doing good work.
We'll consider your offer.
I appreciate it. We're the best you'll find. Come to the Storm Coast and you can see us in action.
How'd we do?
5 or 6 wounded, Chief. No dead.
That's what I like to hear. Let the throat cutters finish up, then break out the casks. So, you're with the Inquisition, huh? Glad you can make it. Come on, have a seat. Drinks are coming.
You want to have drinks in the aftermath of a battle?
Better than in the middle of a battle. This is Golden Scythe 490 Black. You spill it, you'll kill all the grass. I assume you remember Cremisius Aclassi, my lieutenant.
Good to see you again. Throat cutters are done, Chief.
Already? Have him check again. I don't want any of those Tevinter bastards getting away. No offense, Krem.
None taken. At least a bastard knows who his mother was. Puts him one up on you Canary, right?
So, you've seen us fight. We're expensive, but we're worth it. And I'm sure the Inquisition can afford us.
How much is this going to cost me exactly?
Wouldn't cost you anything personally. Unless you want to buy drinks later. Your ambassador, what's her name? Josephine. We'd go through her and get the payments set up. Gold will take care of itself. Don't worry about that. All that matters is we're worth it.
The Inquisition needs magical power to close the breach. It doesn't need mercenaries.
Hey, everyone needs mercenaries. But if I need to sweeten the deal, you need a frontline bodyguard. I'm your man. Whatever it is. Demons? Dragons? The bigger the better. And there's one other thing. Might be useful. Might piss you off. Ever hear of the Ben Hasra?
They're a Kunari organization, right? The equivalent of their guards and city watch.
I'd go closer to spies. But yeah, that's them. Or, well, us. The Ben Hasrath are concerned about the breach. Magic out of control like that could cause trouble everywhere. I've been ordered to join the Inquisition, get close to the people in charge, and send reports on what's happening. But I also get reports from Ben Hasrath agents all over Orlais. You sign me on, I'll share them with your people.
You're a Kunari spy, and you just told me.
Whatever happened at that conclave thing, it's bad. Someone needs to get that breach closed. So whatever I am, I'm on your side.
You still could have hidden what you are.
From something called the Inquisition? I'd have been tipped sooner or later. Better you hear it right up front from me.
What would you send home in these reports of yours?
Enough to keep my superiors happy. Nothing that'll compromise your operations. The Canari want to know if they need to launch an invasion to stop the whole damn world from falling apart. You let me send word of what you're doing, it'll put some minds at ease. That's good for everyone.
What's in these Ben Hasrath reports you're offering to share?
Enemy movements, suspicious activity, intriguing gossip. It's a bit of everything. Alone they're not much, but if your spy master is worth a damn, she'll put him to good use.
She?
I did a little research. Plus, I've always had a weakness for redheads.
All right, you're in.
Excellent. Krem, tell the men to finish drinking on the road. The Chargers just got hired.
What about the casks, Chief? We just opened them up with axes.
Find some way to seal them. You're Tevinter, right? Try blood magic. We'll meet you back at Haven. this a fight, not us. Remember how to carry your shields. You're not hiding, you're holding. Otherwise, it's useless.
Blackwall. Warden Blackwall.
You're not... How do you know my name? Who said... Ah! That's it. Help or get out. We're dealing with these idiots first. Conscripts, here they come! Hold the wall, men! Make them come to me!
You're dead, bastard! Dead!
I wasn't here to fight. Stop and think.
Too late for that! You know how this ends! Come on!
Sorry, bastards. Good work, conscripts. Even if this shouldn't have happened, they could have... Well, thieves are made, not born. Take back what they stole. Go back to your families. You saved yourselves. You're no farmer. Why do you know my name? Who are you?
I'm here investigating Grey Wardens for the Inquisition. We're seeing if their disappearance has anything to do with the murder of the Divine.
Maker's balls. The Wardens and the Divine. That can't... No, you're asking so you don't really know. First off, I didn't know they disappeared. But we do that, right? No more blight, job done. Wardens are the first thing forgotten. But one thing I'll tell you, no Warden killed the Divine. Our purpose isn't political.
So where are the rest of you?
I haven't seen any Wardens for months. I travel alone, recruiting. Not much interest because the Archdemon is a decade dead, and no need to conscript because there's no blight coming. Treaties give Wardens the right to take what we need, who we need. These idiots forced this fight, so I conscripted their victims. They had to do what I said, so I told them to stand. Next time, they won't need me. Grey Wardens can inspire. Make you better than you think you are.
I wasn't aware Grey Wardens could take whatever they want.
It's complicated. If there's a blight, everyone has to help the effort to fight it. The treaties are ancient. Outside of blights, it's as binding as a clever tongue can make it.
Do you have any idea where the other Wardens could have gone?
Maybe they returned to our stronghold at Weishaupt. That's in the Anderfels, a long way north. I don't really know. Can't imagine why they'd all disappear at once, let alone where they'd disappear to.
Why haven't you gone missing like the rest of them?
Well, maybe I was going to. Or maybe there's a new directive, but a runner got lost or something. My job was to recruit on my own. Plan to stay that way for months. Years.
You're no help. I'm no further ahead than I was.
Inquisition. Agent, did you say? Hold a moment. The Divine is dead and the sky is torn. Events like these, thinking we're absent is almost as bad as thinking we're involved. If you're trying to put things right, maybe you need a Warden. Maybe you need me.
The Inquisition needs all the support it can get. But what can one Grey Warden do?
Save the fucking world if pressed. Look, maybe fighting demons from the sky isn't something I'm practiced at. But show me someone who is. And like I said, there are treaties. Maybe this isn't a blight, but it's bloody well a disaster.
Some will honor them. Being a warden means something to a lot of people.
Warden Blackwall, the Inquisition accepts your offer.
Good to hear. We both need to know what's going on. And perhaps I've been keeping to myself for too long. This warden walks with the Inquisition.
I want a constant watch on that damn thing. Sound the alarm at the first sign of demons. Turn back. We can't open the gates until the threat has passed.
We don't know what these rifts can do. That one appeared to alter the time around it.
Something's not right. Stay on your guard.
Make her have mercy. It's over. Open the gates.
We spread word the Inquisition was coming. But you should know that no one here was expecting us.
No one? Not even Grand Enchanter Fionna?
If she was, she hasn't told anyone. We've arranged use of the tavern for the negotiations.
Agents of the Inquisition, my apologies. Magister Alexius is in charge now, but hasn't yet arrived. He's expected shortly. You can speak with the former Grand Enchanter in the meantime.
We should talk to the Grand Enchanter. Impressive craftsmanship, to remain standing after such abuse.
that most of the apostates are dead or hiding. We should be getting more refugees soon. Maybe the rumors about the apostates attacking people were just rumors after all.
I keep dreaming again last night, and she said it sounded like the dream she had before the magic took her.
I don't want you to hate the rebels.
Whose remnants
We're
lie
normal
toppled
folk.
in
We
these
keep
hills.
our heads down and
These
let the mages
statues
and
come from
Templars kill each
ancient
other.
dreams of blood and bone, lost to the memory of man. Be wary of them.
Tell me about your people.
They say a spirit dwells in a small lake south of the highway. The girls of the village bring it daisies and ask for love, but rarely does it listen. For 'tis a spirit of valor, not love, and it favors blood lotus flowers.
Good day.
I'm pleased to hear it.
It's just what I heard. Just rumors. Maker, I hope it's not me.
Welcome, agents of the Inquisition. First Enchanter Vivienne?
My dear Fionna, it's been so long since we last spoke. You look dreadful. Are you sleeping well?
What has brought you to Redcliffe?
Skip the pleasantries. You know why we're here. You came all the way to Val Royeux to invite us.
You must be mistaken. I haven't been to Val Royeux since before the Conclave.
If it wasn't you who invited me here, who was it?
I don't know. Now that you say it, I feel strange. Whoever or whatever brought you here, the situation has changed. The Free Mages have already pledged themselves to the service of the Tevinter Imperium.
This right here is why you can't trust mages.
Fionna, dear, your dementia is showing.
An alliance with Tevinter? Do you not fear all of Thedas turning against you?
As one indentured to a Magister, I no longer have the authority to negotiate with you.
An alliance with Tevinter is a terrible mistake.
All hope of peace died with Justinia. This bargain with Tevinter would not have been my first choice, but we had no choice. We are losing this war. I needed to save as many of my people as I could.
Welcome, my friends. I apologize for not greeting you earlier.
Agents of the Inquisition, allow me to introduce Magister Girion Alexius.
The Southern Mages are under my command. And you are the survivor, yes? The one from the Fade? Interesting.
I'd like to know more about this alliance between the rebel mages and the Imperium.
Certainly. What specifically do you wish to know?
I haven't seen any sign of Redcliffe's Arl or his men.
The Arl of Redcliffe left the village.
Arl Tegan did not abandon his lands during the Blight, even when they were under siege.
There were tensions growing. I did not want an incident.
I'd like to know more about this alliance between the rebel mages and the Imperium.
Certainly. What specifically do you wish to know?
The Grand Enchanter told me she was indentured to a Magister.
Our southern brethren have no legal status in the Imperium. As they were not born citizens of Tevinter, they must work for a period of 10 years before gaining full rights. As their protector, I shall oversee their work for the Imperium.
I'm not clear on when exactly you negotiated this arrangement with Fionna.
When the Conclave was destroyed, these poor souls faced the brutality of the Templars, who rushed to attack them. It could only be through divine providence that I arrived when I did.
It was certainly very timely.
What does the Imperium gain from taking rebel mages under its wing?
For the moment, the Southern mages are a considerable expense. After they are properly trained, they will join our legion.
You said not all my people would be military. There are children, those not suited.
And one day I'm sure they will all be productive citizens of the Imperium when their debts are paid.
You're quite a long way from Tevinter, Alexius.
Indeed I am, though I have heard you are no Ferelden either. It seems we are both strangers here. Felix, would you send for a scribe, please? Pardon my manners. My son Felix, friends. I am not surprised you're here. Containing the breach is not a feat that many could even attempt. There is no telling how many mages would be needed for such an endeavor. Ambitious indeed.
I'll take every mage you can give me.
There will have to be. Felix.
My lord, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Are you all right?
I'm fine, Father.
Come, I'll get your powders. Please excuse me, friends. We will have to continue this another time. Fionna, I require your assistance back at the castle.
I don't mean to trouble everyone.
I shall send word to the Inquisition. We will conclude this business at a later date.
Come to the Chantry. You are in danger.
Did the Magister's son give you that? Why would he help you?
There's no telling who or what will be waiting for us in that Chantry.
We'll be on guard.
We don't need your kind here. Your Inquisition's just Templars by another name.
Who are you?
Linnea. Just Linnea. Don't ask what Circle Tower I'm from, because we're done with that. We're all free mages now.
You'd rather bow to Tevinter than join the Inquisition?
All you Chantry types think the same way. The Imperium is a great evil that must be avoided. It's just because they're ruled by mages. No one wants us to look at them and say their mages are free and the world hasn't ended.
Don't Magisters summon demons and practice human sacrifice?
The Chantry says whatever they think will scare us. What's wrong with blood magic? People don't like the idea of us controlling their thoughts, but they have no problem with us throwing fireballs in their wars. In Tevinter, the mages police themselves. It works.
Tevinter's as big a threat as the Templars. You're better off with the Inquisition.
Right. And I'm the Empress of Orlais.
Magister Alexius does not approve of those without magic like you and me. You may not wish to stay long. Many villagers have already left to escape his ire.
This village has a history with mages, doesn't it? Do you know the details?
During the last blight, the Arl of Redcliffe became ill. Not even the efforts of the Circle could save him. His young son, who was an undiscovered mage, made a deal with a demon to keep the Arl from death. The boy became an abomination. Through him, each night, the demon raised armies of corpses to assault the village. The demon was defeated, but not before the village was destroyed. It took many years to rebuild.
What does the Magister have against you?
He does not like to be reminded of what mages can become. He says all tranquil must leave Redcliffe, but who would take us in?
How long have Tevinters been here?
Magister Alexius arrived at nightfall, 2 days after we retreated from the Temple of Sacred Ashes. He forced anyone without magic out of the castle, save those he required to serve him. Even the Arl was sent away.
Farewell, then.
One moment. You are a member of the Inquisition, are you not? I am an alchemist. You must require potions. If the Magister will not have me here, perhaps I can offer my services.
We would be delighted to have you working for the Inquisition.
Thank you. While one lives, it is good to believe there is still a use for one's talents.
Inquisition, huh? I wish to Holy Andraste you'd gotten here sooner. These Tevinters make my shoulder blades itch.
Who are you?
Name's Tolwyn, formerly of the Circle of Magi in hospital. Lived my whole life there, since I was 10 years old and came into my magic. 3 meals a day, quality education, a roof over my head. If you're not summoning demons, a mage tower's a fine place to be.
If you were happy in the Circle, why are you here with the rebels?
We're all rebels now. The voters saw to that. The majority wanted to dissolve the Circles. The rest of us went with them or were cut loose.
There are still some of us who are loyal in the Empress's court.
I figured I'm better off with my fellow mages than on my own.
You're not happy with this new alliance?
Something's not right about that lot. They're not like us. Magic or no, I'd rather count myself among decent folk than stand with magisters.
How did the Grand Enchanter end up working with Tevinter?
1 minute, we were bracing for the Templars to attack. The next, we had a Magister ally. It was a stroke of luck that's given us an edge. In a way. Out of the frying pan.
Goodbye.
Be careful. The Tevinters likely aren't happy you're asking questions.
From the Inquisition. I didn't think you'd still be here. Were you really looking to ally with us?
I will love you no matter what you are.
This rebellion is doomed. I offered your leaders a way to end it peacefully.
There was no other way. Do you think any of us wanted this? On the run, everyone hating us. What choice did we have? Stay and be slaves?
There are better ways than war to effect change.
I hope you can do something. Tying ourselves to Tevinter. That can't be the right way to end this.
You seem young to be part of this.
I'm Lisas. I came into my magic when I was 9 years old. Templars came into the alienage and took me to the Circle. They didn't even let me say goodbye. It's not right. I studied hard. I passed my harrowing, I sing the chant. But I'll be locked up for the rest of my life.
You don't approve of the Grand Enchanter's decision?
I was there when we voted to leave the Circle. She really seemed to care what we wanted. She was ready to rebel, but she wasn't going to unless it was the will of all mages. It's hard to believe she'd go behind our backs and sell us to the Magisters.
How long has Magister Alexius been here?
A day or two after. After the Conclave, he arrived. Come to save us from the wrath of the Templars, they said. But this doesn't feel like safety.
Take care of yourself. There's something strange going on.
I never thought the Grand Enchanter would swear to a Magister.
Andraste sent you to save the world. If it'll help save lives and bring peace, I'll be the first to believe.
I don't have to worry about you falling at my feet in worship, then? That has been tiresome.
I believe we must each attend to our own lives to find salvation.
Are you working for the Mage Rebellion?
Mages are children of the Maker, no less than the rest of us. They struggle no less with questions of faith.
Does that mean you support their freedom?
Given a choice between the Circle and death, most mages willingly gave up some small freedoms for safety. But the pendulum swings, and now it seems any restraint is too much. I think they should have a chance to prove they deserve freedom.
I don't see any other priests in the village. Where is everybody?
The Magister had the others escorted out for their own safety, but I refused. He can throw me out if he wants. Until then, I tend to my flock.
What are your feelings on the mages working with Tevinter?
The Imperium burned Andraste. Since then, we have led 4 exalted marches against them. Yet in all those marches, they still acknowledged the Maker. Now I speak of him and the Magisters laugh. Something has happened, and I dread to learn what.
I will leave you to your duties.
Make us speed you, my child.
Good. You're finally here. Now help me close this, would you? Fascinating. How does that work exactly? You don't even know, do you? You just wiggle your fingers and boom. Rift closes.
Who are you?
Ah, getting ahead of myself again, I see. Dorian of House Parvus, most recently of Minrathous. How do you do?
Another Tevinter. Be cautious with this one.
Suspicious friends you have here. Magister Alexius was once my mentor, so my assistance should be valuable, as I'm sure you can imagine.
I was expecting Felix to be here.
I'm sure he's on his way. He was to give you the note, then meet us here after ditching his father.
Alexius couldn't jump to Felix's side fast enough when he pretended to be faint. Is something wrong with him?
He's had some lingering illness for months. Felix is an only child, and Alexius is being a mother hen, most likely.
Are you a Magister?
All right, let's say this once. I'm a mage from Tevinter, but not a member of the Magisterium. I know Southerners use the terms interchangeably, but that only makes you sound like barbarians.
Stop talking like you're waiting for applause. Just tell me what's going on.
What? There's no applause? Fine. Look, you must know there's danger. That should be obvious even without the note. Let's start with Alexius claiming the allegiance of the mage rebels out from under you. As if by magic, yes? Which is exactly right. To reach Redcliffe, before the Inquisition, Alexius distorted time itself.
I've never heard of magic that controls time.
Manipulating time itself? Many have attempted over the ages, but never once succeeded.
The rift you closed here. You saw how it twisted time around itself, sped some things up and slowed others down. Soon, there will be more like it, and they'll appear further and further away from Redcliffe. The magic Alexius is using is wildly unstable, and it's unraveling the world.
I'd like more proof than magical time control. Go with it.
I know what I'm talking about. I helped develop this magic. When I was still his apprentice, it was pure theory. Alexius could never get it to work. What I don't understand is why he's doing it, ripping time to shreds just to gain a few hundred lackeys.
He didn't do it for them.
Took you long enough. Is he getting suspicious?
No, but I shouldn't have played the illness card. I thought he'd be fussing over me all day. My father's joined a cult, Tevinter supremacists. They call themselves Venatori. And I can tell you one thing. Whatever he's done for them, he's done it to get to you.
Alexius is your father. Why are you working against him?
For the same reason Dorian works against him. I love my father, and I love my country. But this? Cults? Time magic? What he's doing now is madness. For his own sake, you have to stop him.
It would also be nice if he didn't rip a hole in time. There's already a hole in the sky.
Why would he rearrange time and indenture the Mage Rebellion just to get to me?
They're obsessed with you, but I don't know why. Perhaps because you survived the Temple of Sacred Ashes.
You can close the rifts. Maybe there's a connection. Or they see you as a threat.
If the Venatori are behind those rifts or the breach in the sky, they're even worse than I thought.
I'm not afraid of Alexius.
You know you're his target. Expecting the trap is the first step in turning it to your advantage. I can't stay in Redcliffe. Alexius doesn't know I'm here, and I want to keep it that way for now. But whenever you're ready to deal with him, I want to be there. I'll be in touch. Oh, and Felix, try not to get yourself killed.
There are worse things than dying, Dorian.
gotta admit, I wasn't expecting to find so many Vints here.
I doubt they expected to find Canary here.
You there. There's a shield in your hand. Lock with it. If this man were your enemy, you'd be dead. Lieutenant, don't hold back. The recruits must prepare for a real fight, not a practice one.
Yes, Commander.
We've received a number of recruits. Locals from Haven and some pilgrims. None made quite the entrance you did.
At least I got everyone's attention.
That you did. I was recruited to the Inquisition in Kirkwall myself. I was there during the Mage Uprising. I saw firsthand the devastation it caused.
Sir.
Cassandra sought a solution. When she offered me a position, I left the Templars to join her cause. Now it seems we face something far worse.
They must have this mark for a reason. It will work, I'm sure of it.
Provided we can secure aid, but I'm confident we can. The Chantry lost control of both Templars and Mages. Now they argue over a new divine while the breach remains. The Inquisition could act when the Chantry cannot. Our followers would be part of that. There's so much we can... Forgive me. I doubt you came here for a lecture.
No, but if you have one prepared, I'd love to hear it.
Another time, perhaps. There's still a lot of work ahead.
Commander, Sir Ryden has a report on our supply lines.
As I was saying.
Ugh.
I hope that wasn't meant to be me.
What? That?
You obviously don't like somebody.
Did I do the right thing? What I have set in motion here could destroy everything I have revered my whole life. One day they may write about me as a traitor, a madwoman, a fool, and they may be right.
What does your faith tell you?
I believe you are innocent. I believe more is going on here than we can see. And I believe no one else cares to do anything about it. They will stand in the fire and complain that it is hot. But is this the Maker's will? I can only guess.
What's going to happen now?
Now we find allies to help us close the breach, if that is even possible. And if there are consequences to be paid for what I have done, I pay them. I only pray the price is not too high.
You didn't have any choice.
Didn't I? My trainers always said, Cassandra, you are too brash. You must think before you act. I see what must be done, and I do it. I see no point in running around in circles like a dog chasing its tail. But I misjudged you in the beginning, did I not? I thought the answer was before me, clear as day. I cannot afford to be so careless again.
There is a lot at stake.
You do not have to tell me that. You've said you believe you're chosen. Does that mean you believe in the Maker?
I believe he exists.
That's comforting. Surely the Maker put us both on this path for a reason. Now it simply remains to see where it leads us. It occurs to me I don't actually know much about you.
What do you want to know?
I'm not sure. Where are you from?
I thought you knew that.
I suppose I could ask Leliana. She has collected a frightening amount of information on you, but I don't want to ask her. I want to hear it from you.
I was born in Ostwick, and that's where most of my family is.
The Trevellians, is it not? A large clan with a rather clever coat of arms. Tell me, do you consider the Free Marches your home? Are you eager to go back?
That's no business of yours.
True enough.
I'd like to get to know you better.
You would?
Is that a problem?
Not entirely. I'm just curious as to your motivation.
Just answer the question.
As you wish. My name is Cassandra Pendergast, daughter of the Royal House of Navarra, 78th in line for the Navarran throne. I joined the Seekers of Truth as a young woman, and was with the Order until they withdrew from the Chantry. I remained as the Divine's right hand, carrying out her order to form the Inquisition. And here we are. That's all there is to know, my lord.
You're a member of Navarra's royal family.
The Pendergasts are a very large clan. Half of Cumberland could say the same.
Really?
No, but it feels that way. I have hundreds of relatives so distant they need charts to prove we're related at all. And they have them. Oh yes. The Pendergasts value their precious blood like it runs with gold.
You don't think being noble gave you opportunities others don't have?
An opportunity to be decadent, perhaps. To be useless to anyone but myself. The Pendergasts are famed for dragon hunting, but few actually pursue the craft. Most are fat and lazy. They pay lip service to the Maker and care only for idle pleasures and past glories. My brother was all that kept me in Navarra. Once he was gone, so was I.
Tell me about your brother.
I would prefer not to speak of Anthony. Another time, perhaps.
You don't seem to like your homeland much.
My family polluted it for me. What little I saw of my homeland was through the bars of a gilded cage. My uncle treated me like a porcelain doll to be placed on a shelf and dusted only when necessary. Thus I did not see Navarra, the real Navarra, until much later. By then I realized I knew it not at all.
Your uncle? What about your parents?
They had the misfortune of taking the wrong side in the second attempt to overthrow King Marcus. The king executed them, but spared my brother and I since we were family, and children at the time. Thus we were raised by my uncle, a mortalitasi who preferred the company of his corpses to the living.
Your uncle was a mortalitasi?
A death mage. He still is. My countrymen do not burn the dead, they bury them in special crypts. The mortalitasi supervise the crypts, like priests. Uncle Vestalis oversees the grand necropolis. Navarrans spend more time honoring dead relatives than they do with living ones. It is odd to be so fascinated with death and its trappings. I will never understand it.
So you were the right hand to the Divine?
To Divine Justinian, yes. And Divine Beatrix before her, in fact. The position is normally reserved for Templars of the Knights Divine, but my circumstances were unusual.
Unusual how?
You don't know the story? Thank the Maker. I will tell you if you wish, but it isn't as exciting as some drum it up to be. The short version is that I once saved the previous Divine's life. My reward was becoming her right hand.
But what does a right hand do exactly?
What is your hand capable of? It gives, it takes, it beckons. It makes a fist. Leliana and I extended the Divine's reach beyond the Grand Cathedral. We went where she could not. After Beatrix, I was tired of the position and wanted to return to the Seekers. But Justinia convinced me to stay. Her vision for the future gave me hope.
You thought she could really change things?
Justinian knew the war was coming long before it began. She tried to avert it, But the forces arrayed against her were too strong. Sometimes you have to break a bone so it can be reset. That's where the Inquisition comes in. It was to be the answer. A means to preserve as well as an agent for change. I only wish she had lived to see it.
So what's the story about you becoming the right hand?
Sweet Andraste, do you really want to hear that? It was, what, 18, 20 years ago? Some still discuss it like it happened yesterday. The tale gets bigger each time it's told. I barely recognize myself within it now.
I'm sure you're just being modest.
I was there. I think I know what happened. To hear others tell it, I alone saved divine Beatrix from a horde of dragons sent to assault the Grand Cathedral. Rather impressive for such a young seeker, wouldn't you say?
And the truth is?
I stumbled upon a conspiracy to kill Beatrix. A Templar Knight Commander was at its heart. And there was a dragon battle at the Grand Cathedral. But I had help from loyal mages who rallied to the cause. They freed the dragons from magical control. Without them, the Divine and I would both have died. Yet I became the right hand, and they are forgotten.
What happened to the mages that helped you?
They went back to their circles, with rewards and privileges and most holy gratitude. Many of them died at the contest.
That's rather typical of the Chantry, isn't it?
Even worse, few know of the Knight Commander's involvement at all. That sort of willful blindness needs to change.
I'll let you get back to work.
Greetings.
Can you tell me more about the Seekers?
The Seekers of Truth were born from the original Inquisition long ago, when it united with the Chantry. Seekers stood above the Templars, watching over them but also investigating magical events they couldn't handle. We were meant to be incorruptible, above reproach. How seldom does reality match the ideal?
But what are Seekers exactly?
Those who know anything of us think we are Templars. We do not use lyrium, however. Our abilities are different, as was our original purpose. We disciplined the Templars and were accountable only to the Divine, and not even her, truthfully.
So nobody ever watched over the Seekers?
It was the Divine's duty, but she could only do so much when the truth was hidden from her. The Templars have always feared us. When a Seeker arrived at a circle, they knew trouble was afoot. That kind of power is troubling. You begin to think you are the only one who can solve the world's problems. If you don't see a problem, it doesn't exist. If someone insists it does, they are the blind ones.
Do you think that kind of problem could ever be fixed?
Possibly. Though the Seekers themselves would need to change. They were clearly not willing to, even though they abandoned everything they stood for to avoid it. In my heart, I believe they can still be salvaged, but not by their own hands.
You mentioned that Seekers have different abilities than Templars.
Entirely. A Templar's abilities come from lyrium and are designed to hunt mages. Ours come from ritual and many years of dedicated training. We cannot be possessed by demons and are immune to mind control. Useful considering our role. Seekers can gain other gifts, though that depends on the individual.
What kind of gifts do you have?
I can set the lyrium within a person's blood aflame. Both mages and Templars bend before my will. Some Seekers use it to interrogate, others simply to paralyze. Once there was a Seeker who could use it to kill. That particular gift is considered rare.
Why did your order turn against the Chantry?
We originally united with the Chantry through a treaty that stated they would keep mages under control. It was felt Most Holy had tacitly allowed the Circle of Magi to vote on its independence, thus breaking the treaty. The Seekers saw themselves as justified, and they led the Templars into a war of righteousness.
You sound like you disagree.
We knew what was happening at Kirkwall, where the Mage Rebellion began. We looked into reports of Knight Commander Meredith's harsh treatment of her charges years earlier. But we found so many shocking cases of magical corruption, it was decided her actions were justified. If we'd been there when it happened, if we'd looked harder at the root causes...
What happened couldn't be avoided. It started long ago.
We weren't helpless. We had the power to act and chose not to. When faced with a problem, the Seekers would close ranks and crush it. We would find an answer, but only once we felt we weren't being coerced. The moment the mages voted for independence, our response was predictable. It was difficult to watch.
How does someone become a Seeker?
Most Seekers begin training in their youth. I was much older, an exception due to my noble birth. We train rigorously for years. Our bodies and minds must be elastic to undergo the vigil, and most fail even then.
Is the vigil some kind of initiation?
It is the rite every Seeker must go through in order to summon their gifts. A full year of fasting, prayer, and separation from all distractions, including other people. We empty ourselves of all emotion, focusing only on the purity of our devotion. And the moment it finally ends, it's wonderful. Faith realized. I cannot put it into words.
I wish I could experience that.
If the vigil was not so arduous, I'd say more should attempt it. What if mages never needed to fear possession by demons? I'm told it is impossible, however. I suppose I'll never know the truth of it now.
I've no more questions.
Do you need something?
May I ask you about the Chantry?
It is difficult to say what becomes of the Chantry now. They have no Templars, no leadership, and no one left who is worthy of succeeding the Divine. It has fallen apart when everyone needs it the most. I ache to think what this will mean in the days to come.
Do you really believe the Chantry is worth preserving?
If you ask my opinion, it is. Absolutely. Cast the Chantry aside and new problems replace old ones. We will have learned nothing from history. The people need stability, and the Chantry needs a new purpose. Andraste had a dream for us. It can still be achieved.
So what should that new purpose be?
A dedication to what is truly important. Instead of building cathedrals and sewing gowns for the Divine, the Chantry used to spend its coin feeding the poor. If we are to spread the Maker's word across the world, we must do so with open hearts and open hands.
That sounds rather idealistic of you.
Does it? I do not think it's so unachievable. The Chantry has many good, honest people. They just need direction and inspiration. They need to be freed from centuries of adherence to tradition and ceremony. A chance for renewal is at our fingertips. It does not have to come with utter chaos.
What influence does Chancellor Roderick really wield?
He's a bureaucrat, responsible for communicating the Divine's will to the rest of the Chantry. Therefore, he's accustomed to the clerics hanging on his every word, hoping his influence will benefit them. Despite that, Roderick is not a bad man. He's frightened, and believes his place is to fill the gap left by Most Holy's death. Some might agree. As far down the chain of command as he is, there is no one left above him.
How big a problem could he be?
No more than he is already. He sent his message to the College of Clerics. That is the only card he had to play. Dealing with him further only lends him credibility he doesn't deserve.
Will the Chantry replace Divine Justinian?
They will try. Once the priests withdraw for the Grand Consensus, it is against Chantry law for them to emerge without naming a new Divine. Sometimes it takes days, or weeks, or even months. The problem now is that no clear successor to Justinia exists. All worthy clerics died with her at the conclave.
So what happens if they can't agree on someone?
Theoretically, they will argue until exhaustion takes them or they see reason. Practically, however, if the Grand Consensus goes on too long, the Chantry will crumble. Any cleric with ambition but little sense will see this as her one chance, and plenty of such clerics exist. We shall see what happens. The Inquisition must act in the meantime.
If they do choose a new divine, will you serve her?
That depends on whether she would have me. I am a rebel now, remember? And even if she would, I do not know. It would depend on what type of divine she is. I am no longer in a position to follow blindly, and no new divine could expect such obedience now.
I'm surprised you rebelled against the Chantry.
I left my own order when they took the wrong path. It is no different. But in neither case did I stop caring. Indeed, I care so much that I feel drastic action is necessary. I suppose history shall one day judge my actions.
Thank you.
Was there something you needed?
Why would Templars break away from the Chantry?
The Order believes the Chantry no longer supports their efforts. Not to the extent they should.
But the Templars have served the Chantry for ages.
And in that time, they've come to take the Order's services for granted. Templars risk their lives against blood magic, demons, abominations, to feel as if those efforts are dismissed. I may disagree with the Order's actions, but I'm here as proof of that. But I sympathize with their frustrations.
Is there anything I should know?
The Lord Seeker's actions are a mystery, but the Templars will aid us. They cannot sit idle while the breach remains.
What do you think of the people you work with?
Who do you mean?
What do you think of our ambassador?
We have little in common. How she delights in meeting with nobles all day is beyond me. But I enjoy working with her.
How do you like working with Leliana?
The Inquisition would not exist without her. I may not always agree with her methods, but she's more passionate about our cause than anyone. Cassandra may have declared the Inquisition publicly, but Leliana is just as responsible for its formation.
Are you satisfied with the Inquisition's forces?
Our numbers are small, but they suit our needs for the time being. Some Templars have joined us instead of following the Order. They've proven invaluable in training new recruits.
I should let you get back to work.
Yes?
Did you leave anyone behind in Kirkwall?
No. I fear I made few friends there, and my family's in Ferelden.
No one special caught your interest?
I can't say I was looking. Honestly, I was not good company back then.
I might enjoy your company.
I would value your friendship. I'm afraid I cannot offer more. I trust you'll understand. Was there something you needed?
I'd like to know more about the Templars.
If you need insight into what the Order is doing now, I'm afraid I can't offer more than you already know. Anything else, I will answer as best I can.
What does Templar training involve?
There is weapon and combat training. Even without their abilities, Templars are among the best warriors in Thedas. Initiates must also memorize portions of the Chant of Light, study history, and improve their mental focus.
Did you enjoy your training?
I wanted to learn everything. If I was giving my life to this, I would be the best Templar I could.
You were a model student.
I wanted to be. I wasn't always successful. Watching a candle burn down while reciting the Chant of Transfigurations wasn't the most exciting task. And I admit, my mind sometimes wandered.
The Templars take vows. I swear to the Maker to watch all the mages, that sort of thing.
There's a vigil first. You're meant to be at peace during that time, but your life is about to change. When it's over, you give yourself to a life of service. That's when you're given a filter, your first draft of lyrium and its power. As Templars, we are not to seek wealth or acknowledgement. Our lives belong to the Maker and the path we have chosen.
Do the Templars do anything besides hunt mages?
Templars protect against the dangers of magic. Before the Order left the Chantry, that meant serving in a circle. They were also tasked with tracking apostasy or fighting demons inevitably summoned by the weak or malicious.
What do you think of mages? Are they all a threat?
I've seen the suffering magic can inflict. I've treated mages with distrust because of it, at times without cause. That was unworthy of me. I will try not to do so here. Not that I want mages moving through our base completely unchecked. We need safeguards in place to protect people, including mages, from possession at the least.
Why did you join the Order?
I could think of no better calling than to protect those in need. I used to beg the Templars at our local chantry to teach me. At first, they merely humored me. I must have shown promise, or at least a willingness to learn. The Knight Captain spoke to my parents on my behalf. They agreed to send me for training. I was 13 when I left home.
13? That's still so young.
I wasn't the youngest there. Some children are promised to the Order at infancy. Still, I didn't take on full responsibilities until I was 18. The Order sees you trained and educated first.
What about your family? Did you miss them?
Of course. But there were many my age who felt the same. We learned to look out for one another.
You've lived in the Circle. What was a typical day for a Templar there?
Typical? The last time I was in a circle was right before it fell apart. Nothing was typical.
Before that, then?
Certain rituals require a full guard. A mage's howling, for instance. I've attended a few. Most of the time, you merely maintain a presence, on patrol or in the circle, ready to respond if needed. Mages pretend to ignore that presence, but they're watching you just as closely.
The Templars and mages never speak to each other.
Some do, but Templars are supposed to maintain a certain distance from their charges. If a mage is possessed or uses blood magic, you must act quickly, without hesitation. Your judgment cannot be clouded. Of course, ignoring one another does nothing to foster understanding.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Should you require anything, I'll be here.
What can I do for you?
I'd like to know more about the Iron Bull.
The Chief. First time I met him, he saved my life. I never thought I'd work for a Canary, but he grows on you. He's not like any commander I've ever worked for. That's for damn sure.
How's Iron Bull as a commander?
If you know what you're doing and hold up your end, he's easy. He doesn't accept any less. If he keeps us alive, he leads from the front, and if you've an idea that'll win the fight, he listens. I've seen bands whose captains had to prove they were swinging the biggest sword. Bull isn't like that. The charges might give him more lip than you'd expect, but every one of us would lay down our lives for the big ass.
How did a Tevinter soldier wind up in a Canary spy's mercenary company?
I wasn't a soldier at the time. I was in some trouble, trying to flee Tevinter. A Tribune and his men caught me in a border town tavern. They meant to make an example of me. Bull killed them. Gave up his eye doing it. Patched me up and asked if I was looking for work. I've been putting up with his jokes ever since.
That's how he lost the eye?
Yes. The guards had me on the tavern floor when Bull came inside and yelled for them to stop. One of them saw trouble coming and figured he'd finish me off. The guard had a flare. Bull put himself between me and the blow. Big horned idiot. Didn't even know me.
Is it strange to work for Kunari?
He hasn't tried to convert us to the Qun, if that's what you're asking. Bull's charges don't care who you light a candle for, so long as your shield stays up. If he hadn't told me he was Ben Hasrath, I'd have thought he'd left that life behind.
I didn't expect he'd tell you all that he was a spy.
Not the whole band, but those who've been around long enough to trust. He figures most of us would find out sooner or later, and it should come from him. Eyes to eye, he says. It's never messed up a job. He just writes letters back home. Lots of the boys write letters back home.
We'll talk later.
They've got good form. Cullen's putting his Templar training to good use.
Did Cullen tell you he was a Templar? He's not wearing the armor.
He didn't have to. Might not be a Templar shield, but it's a Templar holding it. He angles the shield just a bit down. Helps direct fire or acid away, so it doesn't spray right into your face. Qunari learned the same thing when we trained to fight Tevinter mages. Your Templar's doing good work.
You sound like you want to head down there and give the troops some pointers.
Nah, I'm no good at command unless I know who my guys are sleeping with and what they like to drink. Inquisition's already too large for that. The Chargers are big enough for me. Biggest problem for the Inquisition right now isn't on the front line. It's at the top. You've got no leader, no Inquisitor.
And maybe we need one. I'd be willing.
You? Huh. Why you?
I'm the Herald of Andraste.
Well, that gets you the believers. Doesn't do much for the rest of us, though. My people don't pick leaders from the strongest, or the smartest, or even the most talented. We pick the ones willing to make the hard decisions, and live with the consequences. Who knows? Maybe you sealed the breach. The Chantry gets off its ass, and all those soldiers go home and get fat.
You think?
It could happen. It won't, but it could. How's it going?
I'd like to know more about your work with the Ben Hasrath.
Ben Hasrath is actually a general term. You've got the secret police who investigate problems inside our territory. You've got the re-educators who take people with problems and fix their minds. Or make them disappear. And then you've got the spies.
How do the re-educators work?
Well, I only know the basics. Wasn't my area. That said, keep a man awake long enough. Ask the right questions, give the right potions, and you can get him to say anything. You don't need blood magic or demons to change someone's mind. We're a lot more fragile than we'd like to believe.
You can alter someone's beliefs that easily.
One of my friends was a re-educator. He said that every memory is like the page of a book. When you examine a memory, you're turning to that page, and when you're there, the page is laid bare. Write a few notes in the margins of the page, erase a word here and there, and your whole outlook changes. I always felt a little weird reading after that conversation.
The re-educators sound horrible.
Yeah, they probably do. Here's the thing, though. What happens in Orlais when you commit a crime or betray a lord? They just lop your head off. At least the Qunari try to fix you.
And you're a spy?
Close. I am now, I suppose. But that's not how I started. They sent me to Saharan because they needed someone who could fight and hunt down problems. That whole island was a sack of cats. Incursions from Tevinter, Tal Vashath, and native rebels fighting both sides. And in the middle, me, trying to wrangle the rebels and restore order.
You seem like the type who enjoys a good fight.
There's a good fight, and there's finding out who put rat poison in the bread and killed a bunch of children. I hunted down a lot of rebels. Lost a lot of friends to the Vince, or the Fog Warriors, or the Tal Vashath. One day I woke up and couldn't think of a damned reason to keep doing my job. Turned myself into the re-educators.
Obviously you made it out alive.
I wasn't sure I would, but I honestly didn't care at that point. I just couldn't keep fighting that fight. The Ben Hasrath ordered me to go to Orlais, ostensibly as a Tal Vashath, and work undercover. That's how I ended up here.
I'm glad you're here, Bull.
Me too.
If you ever need to talk more about all this, let me know.
Nah, it was a long time ago. Thanks, though. Can I help you?
I'd like to know more about the Qunari.
You writing a book?
It's your culture, and I'd like to know you better.
You could just ask.
I am.
All right. What do you want to know?
What's it like growing up under the Qun?
The Tamasrans raise us in these units of kids all our own age. They're like teachers, or chantry sisters. They also help figure out what jobs we should do. They had me pegged for military work early on. When they learned I could hit stuff and lie, they started training me for the Ben Hasra.
Must have been a good day for you.
Yes, it's like being a block of stone with a sculptor working on you. One day, the last of the crap gets knocked off, and you can see your real shape. What you're supposed to be. That's a good day.
Do you ever think about what would happen if the Qunari conquered Orlais or Ferelden?
Some folks, like Cassandra or Cullen, would do fine if they didn't die fighting. Those two love rules. But the mages... Can you imagine Solus trying his fade dreaming under the Qun? Or Vivienne doing her political bullshit? Both Sera and Varric would mouth off until they ended up re-educated, drugged until their minds broke. So, to answer your question, no, I don't think about it much at all.
How do the Qunari rule themselves?
It's pretty simple. We've got the matriarchy, the priesthood, and the military. The priesthood figures out how Qunari should live in theory. The matriarchy makes it work in practice. And the military keeps the Qunari safe from outside threats.
Does it actually work like that? Is there much infighting?
Not like you're thinking of. People disagree, yeah, but the priests are there to solve disagreements. Here in Orlais, politicking comes from people putting their own gain ahead of the gains of society. If you do that among the Qunari, the Ben Hasrath set you straight, or kill you.
I heard there's no marriage among the Qunari.
Yeah, that's true. Qunari love our friends like anyone does, but we don't have sex with them.
Qunari don't have sex?
Oh, we definitely have sex. Their Tamasrans will pop your cork whenever you need it.
Seriously?
Yes. It's not a big deal like it is here. It's like, I don't know, going to see a healer. Sometimes it's this long, involved thing. It takes all day, leaves you walking funny. Other times you're in and out in 5 minutes. Thank you. See you next week.
So you've never really made love? Connected with someone in both body and soul?
I don't know. One time they used this thing called the Sato Nerapan. It's a leather-wrapped rod on a harness. That wasn't really my soul, though. Also, there were more than 2 people.
How is everyday life different for Qunari?
Well, depends on your job, I guess. Some are just about the same. A baker in Val Royeux gets up, gets dressed, and starts work. A baker in Parvolan does the same thing. They don't care about the Empire or the Qun. Mostly they worry about breaking eggs and hope the dough rises right.
It can't be exactly the same. The Qunari have no personal freedoms.
How many personal freedoms do you figure that baker in Val Royeux has? Life isn't about freedom. The baker in Parvolan wonders if she'll be given enough eggs to do her work. Will they come on time? Will the kitchen workers get her bread while it's fresh, or will they come late and blame her 'cause it's stale? Same crap in Val Royeux. People are just people.
The word Qunari, is that the race or the religion?
Both. Kind of. The humans and elves who follow the Qun are the Vidathari. The Qunari who break away from the Qun are Talvasha, deserters.
What about Qunari who existed before the Qun?
The people we came from. They're called the Kossith, but we don't use that word for the race. We came south to Thedas because the Kossith were... I don't know. We had to leave. The stories aren't clear. But I don't expect they look much like us. Whatever they are.
See you later, Bull.
See ya. Can I help you?
So how did you get the name Iron Bull?
I picked it. We don't have names under the Qun. Just, I don't know. Job descriptions, I guess. When I came to Orlais, I chose the Iron Bull for myself.
Why specifically Iron Bull?
This may surprise you, but I really like hitting things. Also, it's the Iron Bull, technically. I like having an article at the front. It makes it sound like I'm not even a person, just a mindless weapon. An implement of destruction. That really works for me.
See you later, Bull.
See ya.
Make her look at it. So much easier to ignore when it's far away. And to actually walk out of it. To be that close.
I survived. Nothing to crow about.
Nothing to crow about? Do people normally fall out of the sky where you come from? The breach, the Divine's death, the Wardens. It doesn't make sense. There's so much we don't know.
Just be there when we need you. And don't ask too many questions.
Just one question then. How do you think you fit in with all this?
A few of them worship me and think I'm destined for greatness. I don't disagree.
I don't think I've ever met someone quite so proud of who they are. It's refreshing. Suppose being called Andraste's Herald must go to your head. For me, I'll be satisfied so long as we find the bastards that killed the Divine. They owe us some answers. I've heard rumors of abandoned Warden camps all over these parts. If we have time, I'd like to take a look. See if there's anything we can salvage.
You seem to have a problem with me.
I don't like you. It's as simple as that. Now that that's out in the open, let's just get on with our work. There are more things at stake here than my personal opinions of you.
Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Fine. Ask if you must.
The Blight's been over for 10 years. What do Wardens do when the world's not ending?
There is still Darkspawn. Just because we killed so many in Ferelden doesn't mean they're gone. And the world is not so peaceful that there's no use for good men with swords. Sometimes you have to figure out for yourself what the pledge to protect others really means. It's not always about just archdemons and blights.
Where were you during the Blight?
I was in Ferelden. On my own, like always. Quietly killed my fair share of Darkspawn too.
You haven't had contact with other Wardens for a while. Why were you on your own?
It's what I've always done. Recruitment only requires one man. Besides, I've always been a loner. Works best for everyone that way.
So you have no idea where the rest of the Wardens are?
Do you find that odd? The Blight is over. We don't need an organized force. And orders don't change much from day to day. For the last 1,000 years or so, it's been just find Darkspawn, kill them, repeat as necessary.
Let's continue this at another time.
As you wish. I'll be here if you need me. What is it?
I want to hear more about you.
Where I'm from, talking about yourself with strangers is considered rude. I'll have to decline.
What do you think of the Inquisition?
I'm not very impressed by its leadership.
You must have some feelings about our friends.
I'm sure I do. I'm also sure it's none of your business.
What do you think about all this trouble between the Mages and Templars?
Looking at it from where we stand, it seems inevitable. But that could be hindsight. How many of us actually saw it coming? Either way, I don't think the Chantry will ever recover.
What do you think of Haven?
It's a war camp that was once a pilgrim's refuge. What else is there to say about it?
You must have some feelings about our friends.
I'm sure I do. I'm also sure it's none of your business.
What do you think of the Inquisition's cause?
Restoring order is a goal I support wholeheartedly. Supporting you, however, is another matter.
What do you think of my advisors?
I respect them enough not to speak behind their backs.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge. What do you want?
Nothing right now. Perhaps in a bit.
Sir Lordy Bloomers.
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Again with your people. Right, which ones?
Thoughts on Iron Bull?
It makes me wonder about things. I mean, what do their women look like? Woof.
Any thoughts about Warden Blackwall?
He's too good, right? Like to see him out of that uniform. Not like that.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here.
Greetings.
I'd like to know more about you, Solus.
Why?
You're an elven mage. Not from the Circle, not Dalish. You're an unknown element. I wouldn't trust my life to a blade before I'd tested its balance.
Nor would I. All right. What can I tell you?
What made you start studying the Fade?
I grew up in a village to the north. There was little to interest a young man, especially one gifted with magic. But as I slept, spirits of the Fade showed me glimpses of wonders I had never imagined. I treasured my dreams. Being awake, out of the Fade, became troublesome.
Did spirits try to tempt you?
No more than a brightly colored fruit is deliberately tempting you to eat it. I learned how to defend myself from more aggressive spirits, and how to interact safely with the rest. I learned how to control my dreams with full consciousness. There was so much I wanted to explore.
I gather you didn't spend your entire life dreaming.
No. Eventually, I was unable to find new areas in the Fade.
Why?
2 reasons. First, the Fade reflects the world around it. Unless I traveled, I would never find anything new. Second, the Fade reflects and is limited by our imaginations. To find interesting areas, one must be interesting.
Is this why you joined the Inquisition?
I joined the Inquisition because we were all in terrible danger. If our enemies destroyed the world, I would have nowhere to lay my head while dreaming of the Fade.
The only reason you live your life is to be able to see more of the Fade?
Yes.
That's no way to live.
You train to flick a dagger or an arrow to its target. The grace with which you move is a pleasing side benefit. You have chosen a path whose steps you do not dislike because it leads to a destination you enjoy. As have I.
You said you traveled to many different places.
This world, or its memory, is reflected in the Fade. Dream in ancient ruins, and you may see a city lost to history. Some of my fondest memories were found in crumbling cities, long picked dry by treasure seekers, the best of the battlefields. Spirits press so tightly on the veil that you can slip across with but a thought.
Any place in particular?
I dreamt at Ostagar. I witnessed the brutality of the Darkspawn and the valor of the Ferelden warriors. I saw Alistair and the hero Ferelden light the signal fire, and Logain's infamous betrayal of Kaelin's forces.
I've heard the stories. It would be interesting to hear what it was really like.
That's just it. In the Fade, I see reflections created by spirits who react to the emotions of the warriors. One moment, I see heroic wardens lighting the fire, and a power-mad villain sneering as he lets King Kaelin fall. The next, I see an army overwhelmed and a veteran commander refusing to let more soldiers die in a lost cause.
You can't tell which is real.
It is the Fade. They are all real.
Have you always traveled and studied alone?
Not at all. I have built many lasting friendships. Spirits of wisdom, possessed of ancient knowledge, happy to share what they had seen. Spirits of purpose helped me search. Even wisps, curious and playful, would point out treasures I might have missed.
I don't know of any spirits by those names.
They rarely seek this world. When they do, their natures do not often survive exposure to the people they encounter. Wisdom and purpose are too easily twisted to pride and desire.
You're saying that you became friends with pride and desire demons?
They were not demons for me.
Meaning?
The Fade reflects the minds of the living. If you expect a spirit of wisdom to be a pride demon, it will adapt. And if your mind is free of corrupting influences, if you understand the nature of the spirit, they can be fast friends.
When I asked if you were with anyone, I meant other people.
Ah, people, as opposed to spirits. We are flesh and blood, so we are real. Is Cassandra defined by her cheekbones and not her faith? Varric by his chest hair and not his wit?
They're not defined by their bodies, but they do have bodies. You need one to be a person.
A demon possessing a corpse has a body.
A living body.
A demon possesses a living mage to become an abomination.
They didn't make that body, they just took it over.
Technically, your mother created your body. With some help from your father, one assumes?
You've thought about this?
On occasion, yes.
We'll talk later.
Goodbye.
Blessed are the peacekeepers, the champions of the just. Blessed are the righteous, the lights in the shadow. In their blood, the Maker's will is written. Is that what you want from us? Blood? To die so that your will is done? Is death your only blessing? You speak for Andraste, no? What does the Maker's prophet have to say about all of this? What's his game?
How is this a game?
Do you see the sky? What about the temple ruins? The bones lying in the dust? Even if you didn't support the Divine's peace, you wouldn't call this right. Who could? So many innocent lives. The faithful murdered where the holiest of holies once stood. If the Maker willed this, what is it if not a game or a cruel joke?
Awful things happen every day. Get used to it.
Get used to being a pawn? To be discarded when the Maker's done with you? The Chantry teaches that the Maker abandoned us. He demands repentance for our sins. He demands it all. Our lives, our deaths. Justinia gave him everything she had, and he let her die.
People are killed all the time.
If the Maker doesn't intervene to save the best of his servants, what good is he? I used to believe I was chosen, just as some say you are. Once I was sure I died. I did die. Who else but the Maker could have resurrected me? But if he didn't save me to help the Divine, then why? Why am I still alive?
Wait, you died?
It was right there at the temple by the urn of sacred ashes. We found the urn, proved the legends were true, but the hero of Ferelden corrupted them. And all I wanted at that moment was vengeance. It was a fight I couldn't win. But I didn't care. And the hero struck me down. I awoke later in agony. The ashes were gone. I can't explain how I survived.
So I'm not the only one that survived certain death here.
There is magic in this place. Strange, old magic. Every mage I've put to work on it is mystified. They never find answers. Only more questions. Enough wallowing. I should never have let you see me like this. Such weakness. Come, to work then. We will speak later. With passion and breath does the...
Has Cassandra spoken to you about my new recruits?
They are not your recruits, Commander. They're ours. Let's see what we have. At your service.